This movie has accomplished something I genuinely thought was impossible. It has united the internet, anime fans, animation fans, gamers, has-been hotel fans, people who haven't touched grass since 2014, even One Piece and Naruto fans united to defeat a common enemy. Everybody suddenly on the same team. And what finally got humanity together? World peace? Climate change? The economy? No. A lesbian space princess.
I don't want to gay flicks and chill every night.
I started seeing people talking about this movie everywhere for the past days, and at first I was like, wait, what the hell is Lesbian Space Princess? And then I looked it up and oh, it's literally about a lesbian space princess in space, and she's a princess and she's a lesbian. Yeah, that's the marketing. Honestly, the title is doing a fantastic job of advertising this movie, but apparently people really hate it. Like, I have never seen this movie, but I would die defending my hatred of it levels of hate. And the funniest part is watching completely unrelated fandoms temporarily putting aside their differences like, you hate Lesbian Space Princess? Brother, we ride at dawn. So today I want to figure out what the hell happened here. Why does everyone suddenly hate this movie? Is it actually terrible? Is it generally problematic? Is this just another internet hate mob? Or did we finally discover the one piece of media powerful enough to unite every fandom on earth? Because despite everything, I love every meme that comes out of this. I genuinely haven't had a laugh like this in a while. Pure gold memes from the fanbases uniting. I never imagined I'd see One Piece, Naruto, Boruto, Dragon Ball, JJK and Invincible coming together. Even Has-Been Hotel. What even is Lesbian Space Princess? First, let's establish what this movie actually is. So the series is an Australian adult animated sci-fi comedy written and directed by two people. The protagonist is Sarah, an introverted lesbian space princess living on a planet called Clitopolis. Yeah. Her ex-girlfriend Kiki gets kidnapped by a group of villains called the Straight White Malians. Yes, that's their actual name. They're basically futuristic space incels. So Sarah has to live her sheltered life, travel through gay space, recruit various bizarre characters and save her ex. The movie is essentially Adventure Time plus Sailor Moon plus queer satire plus extremely aggressive sex jokes. The filmmakers themselves describe it as something like Rick and Morty meeting Sailor Moon except with significantly more lesbians and glitter. And that description tells you almost everything you need to know about the movie, because this is not subtle at all. There are male genitalia-shaped spaceships. There's a sentient spaceship called the Problematic Ship. The villains are literally called Straight White Malians. The protagonist lives on Clitopolis. The fact that I had to say all these words, I feel like drinking bleach. Hand me now, please. The jokes are so aggressively on the nose that if someone told you the entire movie was generated by a Tumblr shitpost having a fever dream, you'd probably believe them. And that's exactly why a lot of people hate it. Reason number one, it's cringe. The easiest criticism is also the most common, it's cringe. And honestly, I can understand that criticism. The movie has an extremely specific sense of humor. It constantly uses queer slang, sexual jokes, internet humor, fourth wall breaks, puns and deliberately ridiculous terminology. For some people that's hilarious, for other people it feels like watching a 2-hour compilation of Twitter posts. And that's important because you don't have to be homophobic to find this movie annoying. You can absolutely support queer representation and still think, okay, I've had enough of this vagina spaceship. So there's legitimate criticism here, the humor is extremely specific, the pacing can feel chaotic. And if you don't enjoy internety, absurdist, queer comedy, this movie is probably going to feel like psychological torture. Now look, I watch a lot of trash, but even I don't feel like giving this a chance. I've seen clips and I would rather save my brain cells. Reason number two, the politics are subtle as a brick. Then we have the Straight White Malians. The movie is very obviously satirizing misogyny, incel culture, patriarchy and heteronormativity. And look, normally satire can be incredibly effective when it exaggerates something to expose how ridiculous it is. The problem is that Lesbian Space Princess sometimes doesn't seem particularly interested in subtlety.
I think it's time you realize who has the power here. Kill the lesbian!
The Straight White Malians are essentially straight, white, men, and evil. That's the joke. The movie repeatedly reduces its villains to exaggerated stereotypes of misogynistic men. And this creates an interesting problem because if your satire is look at this ridiculously misogynistic straight man, people who already agree with you are going to probably laugh. But people who don't, they're going to hear straight white men are the villains. And suddenly your silly animated comedy becomes political ammunition for both sides of the culture war. And like South Park said, make love, not Warcraft. But then something really weird happened, because none of this explains why every fandom suddenly started hating the movie at the same time. Remember, this movie has existed for nearly 2 years, it won awards, it received overwhelmingly positive critical reviews. And then, almost overnight, Reddit and other social platforms suddenly filled with posts asking, what is Lesbian Space Princess? Why does everyone hate Lesbian Space Princess? Every fandom is uniting against this show, this movie. There are literally posts joking from different fandoms forming an alliance against it. Has been hotel fans, anime fans, gaming communities, multi-fandom communities. It's like Avengers Endgame, everyone came together and united.
Avengers! Assemble.
People who normally wouldn't agree on anything suddenly have one common enemy, and the memes are honestly funnier than the movie's controversy. This is basically the internet equivalent of I hate you. Yeah, well, I hate you too, but we both hate that guy. Deal. So why now? This is the part where we need to separate what we know from what people are speculating about. We know the movie has recently become the subject of a huge wave of viral posts. We know Netflix currently lists Lesbian Space Princess in at least some of its catalogs as an adult animated movie. And that matters because Netflix exposure can take something that was previously sitting inside a relatively small festival or indie audience and suddenly putting it in front of millions of people who never would have encountered it otherwise. Think about how most people are encountering Lesbian Space Princess right now. Not by watching it, they're seeing this movie is awful, then every fandom has united against it, then Netflix cancelled your favorite show for this, then someone posts a screenshot of the most ridiculous scene imaginable, then someone else says don't watch it, it's transphobic, and then someone responds with actually it's made by queer people, then someone who hasn't seen it says yeah but it looks cringe. And congratulations, you now have a culture war event, except most participants haven't watched the movie. Even Reddit discussions about the phenomenon contain people openly admitting that they haven't seen it. And that's probably the most important thing to understand about this whole controversy. Do you want to know the funniest part? The movie actually isn't universally hated. Critics gave it a 98% on Tomato Meter. It won the Teddy Award at Berlin. It won the Best Australian Feature at Sydney. It won the Best Indie Film at the AACTA Awards. Its IMDb score is currently around 6 and dropping, which is basically the definition of some people liked it, some people absolutely did not. That's not the reception of the worst movie ever made. It's the reception of a very weird, very niche movie that some people generally enjoy and others generally can't stand. And honestly, that's probably the most reasonable position. So back to the main topic. Why has Lesbian Space Princess suddenly become the enemy of every fandom on the internet? TLDR because it's kinda bad, but also because it's basically the perfect target. The title is ridiculous, the premise sounds ridiculous, the humor is extremely polarizing, the politics are extremely obvious, the animation looks unusual, it's queer enough to trigger culture war discourse, it's weird enough to become a meme, and most importantly, it was obscure enough that people could project almost anything onto it. To me, to be honest, it looks like it wants to send a message in the worst way possible. It tries to be something and fails in the cringiest way. Which, ironically, might be the greatest achievement Lesbian Space Princess has accomplished. Because nothing could unite the internet quite like a random Australian animated movie about a lesbian space princess. And if the fandom war continues long enough, maybe the real Lesbian Space Princess was the friends we made along the way. Okay, that's enough for now. Subscribe or you'll have to watch the movie.